Good evening, pilots, and welcome back to Flying with Overkill F-18C AGM65 Maverick Continued. Today we're going to be looking at the Echo, or the E model. The E model is a laser-guided precision munition, and pretty awesome and a lot of fun to use. There's a bunch of different ways we can deploy it, so today we're going to find out how. Let's go ahead and jump into C. So first let's talk about laser-guided munitions. Laser-guided munitions work on a specific laser code that is generated by the laser tracking the target. So whether you have a guy on the ground, another aircraft in the air, or you're using your own targeting pod on board, when you emit the laser, that laser has a digital code embedded within it. Okay, and I'm speaking very, very layman's terms, so just bear with me. Okay, but essentially the light that is being reflected is read by the missile system, or read by the tracking system, and identifies a specific code that's associated with it. So you can have 3 different aircraft with 3 different targeting pods sending out 3 lasers, but all of them with a different code that allows employment of multiple missiles at once, so that way they don't hit the same target. Okay, and we're going to find out more what that's like here in just a minute. Let me switch the master arm off so you guys can get everything. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and throw us into an active pause for a minute so we can take a look at the Maverick configuration. So we're going to come down here, let's lock our screen and take a peek. So as you can see here, we're in the stores page. We have missiles on 2, 3, 7, and 8 for our stations here. You can see the Maverick currently in standby mode because they are not selected. If we come up here and box the Maverick, you can now see that it has been selected, but is crossed out, indicating that we cannot release it yet. You can see that the Maverick currently selected on the outer station here. You can see the associated laser code down beneath it. Now, the first thing we have to do is know your laser codes, which brings me to a quick disclaimer. I am not using the default DCS JTAC today. We are using JTAC. We have 3 of them down on the ground, but I'm using CTLD. 2 reasons. One, the default JTAC operation is pretty extensive. It has a lot of radio comms. You have a lot of back and forth, which is cool, but not particularly effective for the tutorial. And the second reason being is, at least that I'm aware of at the time of making this video, with the default JTAC in DCS World, you can only use the laser code of 1688. There's no way to change the code. There's no way to have multiple JTACs running multiple codes. CTLD is a script created by a community member that allows us to edit that. Okay, we can have multiple JTACs with their own laser codes. Alright, so now let's talk about the laser codes. In order to get into laser codes, as we can see them down here, we have to come down to UFC. So come down to UFC, you can see that all 4 missiles now have a box around the laser code. If I come over here and hit code and highlight it and change the code, so let's do 1668 for example. Actually, clear that, let's do 1568 and hit enter. You can see all 4 missile codes have now changed. What this means is that all 4 missiles are going to be looking for the laser code 1568. So if I have a JTAC out there, which I do, running laser code 1568 on target, and I fire a missile on that target, I need to make sure that that target has been destroyed or the missile has missed before I fire a missile again. Here's what will happen if we fire too soon. If I rifle a missile on 1568 and that missile is still in the air on its way to the target, or the target hasn't been destroyed, and I fire another one at it, that second missile is going to go after the exact same target. Okay, so essentially what's going to happen is when the first missile hits, the target will be destroyed. You've just wasted the second missile because there's no way for it to change targets that fast. Okay, unless they are really side by side, you may be able to get away with it, but all odds in DCS World is that's not going to work. Okay, so be cautious of that when you are either A, in an environment where you have multiple aircraft firing on the same laser code. Okay, same situation applies. If you know, aircraft number 2 out there has already fired on the same laser code that you are tracking and you fire on it, again, same principle, you just wasted your missile as long as his hits. Okay, so let's get into changing the targets individually, or laser codes individually. So the first time we press UFC, all 4 get boxed. Now if we press it again, we get into individual laser codes. We're going to leave this one on 1568. We're going to this one here, we're going to do code. We have to hit code every time we change missiles. 1668, actually every time we hit enter. Okay, and then we're going to come to UFC again, code again, and we're going to make this guy 1768, and we're actually going to make this guy, let's go hit UFC one more time, let's make this one Let's do 1668 again, I think is the way I want to do this. I only have three JTACs out there is why I'm sort of tripping myself up. So hopefully this works out. So it should be 1568 or 1668, fire on a 1568, then a 1768, then a 1668 again. So hopefully this all works out. Okay, so now that we have our missiles programmed, okay, we can go here to the step menu and change the station if we want. All right, we're going to leave it on the outboard here. But now let's talk about the Maverick display. In order to get into the Maverick display, what we need to do is master arm on and air to ground mode. Once these parameters have been met, and the third parameter is weight off wheels. You can't be on the ground. Okay, we can hit the Maverick button again and we get to the Maverick display. Now here's what we see on the Maverick display. We have our fusing here on the left side, instant and delay 1, delay 2. Remember, delays are used for penetration if you're going through a hardened bunker or something like that. You can see the current station selected. If we hit our step, we can change the station. Okay, over here we have our stations listed 2, 3, 7, and 8 with their associated laser code. If we wanted to change a laser code, we could select, for example, station 8 selected. We hit UFC. Now notice there's nothing there, so let's hit it again. And just like we saw before, first it's all 4 of them, and then we can cycle through the different stations, hit code, and change our station if we want. Okay, the horizontal line here is the azimuth scanning range or scanning bar for the seeker head. So once the missile is uncaged by hitting our Charlie button on our keyboard, or whatever you have it mapped to on your HOTAS, we'll see this start going side to side, letting us know where the missile's currently looking. Okay, and the other thing we need to do before we can actually use the missile is hit our sensor select left, because we're on the left DDI, and make sure we get our diamond indicating that the Maverick is our sensor of interest. Okay, alright, so that's pretty much it for down on the DDI. Now we're going to come up, unpause our camera, come up to the HUD for a minute, and just like with the Maverick F, you can see that we have our upside down triangle here letting us know where the Maverick is currently looking. You have your cross out of the Maverick letting us know that it's currently unavailable for launch, and we'll see the same thing here. Okay, now when the missile has actually locked, we'll see this X. This X is where the Maverick seeker head is currently pointing. So once we uncage it, just like with this, we'll see this going side to side. When it locks onto a target, we'll see the X turn into a solid square. We'll see the X up here go away, and we'll see ready just above station 8. And up here, we'll see Mav locked. Okay, and obviously the triangle will be down on the ground on its target. Alright, so let's go ahead and take us out of active pause here and start approaching our target here. And as you can see here, so we're coming up on waypoint 1. We have a bunch of targets out here. That's sort of where we're headed. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of change our attack vector a little bit. And this is where you want to keep in mind, you know, with the laser, it's just like anything else, right? You have to think about line of sight. Okay, so make sure that when you're planning your attack, you know, we have our JTACs. I happen to know, obviously, because I made it, they're in this area here, pointing out this way. Okay, so you don't want to try to come in from this way because you're probably not going to pick up the laser. Okay, so keep that in mind. You want to know where your JTACs are in relationship to the target. That way, you're coming from the same direction the laser is. All right, that's going to give you the best line of sight for it. Also, on occasion, you'll see that the Maverick Seeker will sort of stop and hold. If it does that for too long, just cage the missile and then uncage it again. And we're just waiting for the target area here to be sort of on our 3 o'clock line out there. And then we'll turn towards. Okay, so like that, what it's doing right there. If you see it doing that for too long, just cage the missile and then uncage it. The other thing I'm noticing that's kind of weird about mine, I'm not quite sure why yet, I'll have to look into it, is it's uncaging, like it just uncaged again, and I did not tell it to. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but we can address that at a later time. Alright, so we're just close enough there. Doesn't have to be quite perfect, we just want to make sure we can see the laser. So we're going to go ahead and turn on target. Alright. about 14 miles out. Now I've figured out the sweet spots typically between 7 and 10 is when we'll get a lock. Now I caged it and uncaged it again because it was scanning high for some reason. So really pay attention to what it's doing. If it doesn't make sense, it's probably not right. So we have targets down here on the ground. So once I get inside 10 nautical miles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to point the nose down a little bit, about a 3-degree attack angle here. And it's just something that I do. It's not necessarily required. But we should get a lock here soon. Okay, there it is. So you can see here, there's the solid square I was telling you guys about. The X is gone on Maverick. We have her ready on Station 8. Station 8 is code 1668. It's important to pay attention to. And there's our Maverick locked. So if we unpause, we can hit our weapons release and rifle. Now, just to pause again, we have now Station 2 selected. So we're going to be looking for 1568. So if I unpause and uncage, there's an automatic lock already again, rifling again. Okay, so pausing again for a second. So now we have Station 7 selected. We're looking for 1768. Okay, so I'm going to pause, uncage. And there's a lock. There's a rifle. Now, here's what I'm not going to do. I have not gotten confirmation that our first missile, which was fired on 1668, has hit anything. I have not seen that it has been destroyed and that it missed its target. So I am not going to look for 1668 at this point. Until we get confirmation, I'm going to pull off. We'll go ahead and just throw ourselves into an altitude hold. And let's track our missiles. With CTLD in the top right of the screen, we should get a notification when it's scanning a new target. Alright, so there's 1568 looking for new target. And it looks like the other two may have missed. Alright, so I see one shack out there. Well, that's interesting. But I don't see any other signs of explosion. So the first two missiles may have missed. And that happens. Because here's the thing about laser-guided weapons is if there's anything in its way, wherever the laser's pointed is where it's going to hit. So if you are lasing or your buddy's lasing, it's not always enough to just point near the target. Okay, if you're on the dirt or on the ground, the laser is, and it's not quite close enough to actually damage the target, the missile's going to go, like I said, for the laser. So keep that in mind as you're practicing with it. All right, so let's go ahead and bring it back around, and we'll fire our last one out. I'm going to go ahead and uncage the missile. Might be coming at this from a really bad angle, but we'll see if we get something. Got the lock. Let's go ahead and steer. And that's the other thing, if you guys can tell. The square box here is reference to the bore side of the nose of the aircraft, or the seeker, excuse me. So this lets us know that we're sort of up and to the left here in order to get us on target, and you'll see that associated here on the HUD. So there we go. There's our target. Let's go ahead and rifle it away. There's our last one. Set our altitude hold. Let's track our missile in. Let's go ahead and speed up time a little bit. Oh, this time we got something cool. And Shack. Alright. And you can see that we got the new code. Alright, so you guys saw what happened with the first two missing. Or, yeah, first two missiles missed. Third one hit its target. Fourth one hit its target. Make sure that you guys always wait for confirmation that your missile has either missed or that a new target is being tracked. Make sure nobody else is ever firing on your target at the same time that you are, or again, you're just wasting your weapons. Be sure to come and check us out at vcw13.com if you guys are interested in flying with us. Again, www.vcw13.com. It's Virtual Carrier Wing 13. I would very much so classify us as a training wing. We take pilots of all skill levels. It is an 18 and over squadron. Sorry for you guys who are under. But we can get pretty ridiculous sometimes with the shit we say. But we just wanted to make sure that you guys all have that opportunity. If you guys are watching the channel, obviously you're interested in learning some new features about the Hornet, and so if you'd like to do that with other people and fly along with us, come give us a shot. We'd love to have you on board. Until next time, guys, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, leave your questions, comments below, and have a great weekend, folks. I'll talk to you guys later.